So Call of Duty 2024 has been leaked, and a lot of leaks have been coming out these last few months and a year about a 90 setting. And also Call of Duty 2025 has also been apparently already leaked for their game in 2025. So yeah, these are my thoughts on the leaks, if they're true, and why I think it sounds just great for the 90 setting. I like the idea of direct sequel to Cold War. Going to the 90s, which Call of Duty has never been there before. If I'm correct, I did play the original Modern Warfare trilogy. I think those were just flashbacks they did. But a game set in the entire 90s, almost, well, not the entire, because the Gulf War only lasted a few years, but they can also even go into the 2000s a bit, which I wonder how they're going to handle that with the controversial stuff. But yeah, like the 90s setting just excites me for a direct sequel because I want to know what happened to Bell and not just mention it like as an Easter egg, like at the end of Black Ops Cold War, the good ending, which is probably the canon ending, where you and Adler reach for your gun and you ended up seeing nothing happening because the screen went to black. So yeah, I want to see it, what happened, and it will be interesting to see the game's main character. They come up with new characters and stay true to BO2's canon, because in BO2, since it takes place in some of the 80s, Woods gets paralyzed, and Mason, I don't know what they're gonna do. Like, would they do like a choice, like what ending you did in Black Ops 2, where you shot Mason or shot his legs where he can whip? So it'll be interesting what they do, and we'll probably see a bunch of new characters if this is true, like, and also returning characters from Cold War that survived, like Park, and the other option, I forget the character's name that you choose to save, but a 90s setting is something that I really want in a direct sequel to Cold War instead of just going into the Black Ops 2 era again, a big time skip. But man, Treyarch's been worked to death these last few years. They had to go in to work on 2020 COD, which turned into Cold War, when Sledgehammer was switched. Then they had to work on Zombies for Vanguard, rank play for Modern Warfare 2 2022, and the Zombies for Modern Warfare 3 2023. Like, man, Treyarch's been worked to death and while working on their own game, having to work on stuff, and they might be worked to death even more unless Beanox or Raven is making what was leaked for 2025. Call of Duty is a Black Ops 2 sequel, a game set after Black Ops 2, and apparently leaked and rumored to be set in 2030. A decade and a year that isn't that far off in our timeline in the real world. So that would probably, we possibly could see, if this is true, the return of David Mason finally, but I don't think that's going to happen because I think the canon ending is Mason's grave ending, where he says, "I'm done, Sergeant," and he retires from the military. It would be hard for them to make a sequel like set with all the endings Black Ops 2 has, unless they just pick one ending and that's it. And I think the best ending would be just have Mason's story over and have a brand new protagonist. But also, like, when it comes to making a Black Ops 2 game, if this is true, like, I'm not so sure about it. Like, just the way Call of Duty is now with the movement and everything, now they focus on Warzone. Like, it would just not feel the same like it was back in 2012. And I guess they would probably also uncanon Black Ops 4 and make an actual sequel. I think Black Ops 4 takes place in the 2040s, so it would be a prequel to Black Ops 4 if it was still canon. Well, it's a prequel regardless, but a sequel to Black Ops 2. But it will be interesting, a futuristic Warzone with futuristic tech, guns. Plus, I've also heard rumors that they were considering having 2024's game be a bunch of timelines, with weapons and gear and jumping timelines, like from 90s, 2010, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s. But if this is true, they're probably doing what Modern Warfare 3 did, a direct sequel, like a DLC, but charging 70 to 80 bucks depending on where you live in North America and other places around the world. So yeah, it will be interesting, and I've also heard rumors they were going to do a bunch of Black Ops 2 recycled maps, but since people weren't happy with Modern Warfare 3 just constantly having recycled content, they're just going to do a bit and make a bunch of new maps. So I personally think the only COD developer that should do futuristic CODs is Sledgehammer and finally make Advanced Warfare 2. But if this is true, looks like we're heading to the future in 2025. And one last thing I will say, the reason why 2024 excites me is because the 90s is my birth year, decade. Should I say decade, birth decade. So it will be interesting. What are your thoughts on this all? Do you think it's true?